Well, thanks for coming, friends. It is a pleasure to hear everybody and the great thoughts coming. And today, when I left home, as I said earlier, my wife told me say something positive. So I want to be on record saying this. That place I came from is beautiful. It has high mountains from Nanga Parbat to plains of Punjab and Sindh, green, and all those mountains, they remind me of, remind anyone about Switzerland. It's a beautiful landscape. And the people are nice, wonderful food. There are food streets. There are people enjoying all kind of cuisines from one part of the country to the other. Today we gather to talk about that country where I was born, that is Pakistan. And the occasion is Pakistan resolution, which apparently is a confusion in a lot of minds. So we want to come here and discuss that. My point of view is, after reading and researching this resolution, I have come to the conclusion that it was an accidental birth of a country, which took place in 47. If you look at the actual text, the text does not talk about an independent country. The wording used in that only talks about the states with the Muslim majority. They will be mingled together, and these discussions were taking place in 1940 to 46. And if you allow me a moment, I'll read you a little bit a comment made by Mr. Nehru. And on July 10th, 1946, Nehru was quoted in the press as saying, quote, "We are not bound by a single thing except that we have decided to go into the Constituent Assembly." And the comments made after that was the thing that he was only interested in going into the assembly. He was not listening to demands by Muslim League about the states who will be part of India, but they will have some kind of powers to govern themselves. So that was the difference which prompted Jinnah to move away from these negotiations. They had accepted the cabinet mission plan, but he rejected that after Nehru's assertions. And that was the beginning of this movement. So until that, there was no mention of Pakistan. To me, Pakistan came into existence due to these egoistic traits of a leader, and on the other side from Congress party not accepting or working with him and the British. Pakistan is a kind state. Since we know it is a beautiful landscape and it's all, I said that all, nothing wrong there. But since the birth of that country, since it was an accidental, and I have heard Pakistani ambassador Mr. Haqqani saying this, that a lot of people don't understand why Pakistani army has acted since the birth of Pakistan in the way they did. The reason for that is when the assets were divided, when in 1947, the assets which were coming to the state of Pakistan were unevenly divided when it comes to the military. 30%. Remember folks, the 30% of military asset and personnel, they were given to Pakistan. A small country, which were until then dependent on the central rule from Delhi, now all of a sudden find itself with all these trained officers from the British Army or British Indian Army living in Pakistan. They were all transferred to Pakistan. So this large number of people who came to Pakistan and formed their own army, they had to find a reason for their resistance. Did not need that much. Pakistan did not have factories, Pakistan did not have the infrastructure, but it had all those weapons of World War II, high-powered weapons and the personnel. So this is the main cause of the problem of Pakistan at that time. And it has continued It had continued from there on till now. And people keep finding, people keep thinking about solutions, but nothing has changed. It is the same thing. And I also relate to how Pakistan Army motivated itself. The leadership in Pakistani Army, right from the beginning, could be divided into two parts. The one of them is Western aligned, what Tariq Fateh will call the whiskey journals, who like the lifestyle of the army, who like that Western living, and they want to align themselves with the West. And then there's another part of the Pakistan Army, the Mullah journals, the people who relate to the movement in the 20s, when Turkey declared itself independent of Ottoman Empire. Kemal Atatürk made, father of Turkey's new nation, and they opposed that. The Muslim from Deoband, Muslim from UP, Muslim from, they formed organization, Hindustan Chhod Do, La Rumal movement, all these things, Shabir Ahmad Usmani and these people who were not nationalists, they parted from the Indian thought of union. They wanted to get rid of British, but after that, what they had in mind? A birth of a Muslim India. And they reminded of people of 1,000 years of rule of Muslims when they, and these same people came to Pakistan. And this is what we see. It is the revival of the same movement, pan-Islamic movement, and Pakistan has become a leader of that movement. That's why you see them gathering in Lahore one time. There was an Islamic conference in Lahore where leaders from all over the Arabian world came over and chose Pakistan as a leader. And that was Bhutto. Look at the contradictions Pakistan had. On one side, Pakistan had produced a leader who is a socialist, and on the other side, he is also becoming a leader of the Muslim world. And then put into another ingredient, opposing India. हम जंग करेंगे 1000 साल तक चाहे घास ना खाना पड़े. I mean, these are the forces which have formed present-day Pakistan. It's a complicated matter, but the fact is, whatever the mistakes happen during this historic period, they could be reversed. I know it is far-fetched. We don't know how it will happen, but if all these incidents looked upon, analyzed, we will come to the conclusion that one of these days, if this could be reversed. So that is my thoughts about resolution. It was a mistake. Pakistan is a mistake, and as soon as we could find a strategy to get rid of it, we should.
Okay.
Thank you.